A mosquito survives by instinct. A wolf hunts by scent, but neither loses sleep rehearsing every way tomorrow might fail. Humans, gifted with reflection, bend that gift until it snaps back as torment. We carry two environments, the outer field of circumstances and the inner climate of narrative. A power bill, a doctor's report, a late-night headline, each arrives as a single event. Yet the mind can inflate one spark into a wildfire that burns all night. That inflation, not the spark, is what makes the human path harsher than stone or sun. Outward hardships hurt, but they pass through tissue and time. Inward projections recycle endlessly because thought recreates them each moment it rehearses them. Worry is that recreation process on autopilot. It claims to protect, but mostly practices suffering in advance. Notice how the body believes every rehearsal. Pulse climbs, stomach clenches. Even though the courtroom, the breakup, the bank notice exist only in glowing pixels behind the eyes. We pay biochemical interest on debts that may never be due. The first mercy, then, is to separate signal from echo. Before engaging any problem, verify its coordinates. Is it happening in the measurable world or in the movie studio of imagination? This single act of discernment already has the load that wakes you at 3 a.m. Picture yourself lying awake, staring at a dark ceiling. Mind projects an eviction notice, a diagnosis, a betrayal. Slides flicker faster than breath. Yet dawn arrives. Walls still stand, the body still draws air, and none of the night's catastrophes have crossed the threshold of fact. This cycle, the nervous system staging a crisis parade while the world outside remains unchanged, is the signature of pseudo-problems. They consume the same cortisol, the same racing heartbeats as real emergencies. Yet they resolve not by action but by daylight or distraction. Left unchecked, they train the system to mistrust calm, to equate quiet with danger, waiting to pounce. Why does unreality feel heavier than reality? Because imagination is unlimited. Physical events have boundaries, but the mind can widen or deepen any fear without limit. The rent becomes bankruptcy, becomes homelessness, becomes death, in a handful of thoughts. The body, naive to the difference between image and incident, mobilizes full survival chemistry for each expansion. Worry thrives on this mismatch, a limitless projector lodged in a creature built for immediate, tangible threats. Freedom begins the moment you catch the projector in the act. When a scenario erupts, glance around the room and silently catalog what is incontrovertibly present: vibration of the air conditioner, faint taste of toothpaste, weight of the blanket. These simple facts set a perimeter beyond which imagination cannot masquerade as truth. The catastrophe, unable to anchor in current sensation, flickers, dims, and often collapses. This is not positive thinking. It is factual thinking, replacing mental fiction with sensory evidence. Each repetition rewires trust away from unchecked narrative toward grounded perception, and worry loses a little of its monopoly on your chemistry. Observe the chain in slow motion. First link, a neutral stimulus, standing in a checkout line, stuck in traffic, hearing a colleague's careless remark. Second link, the brain tags the stimulus as unacceptable. Third link, narrative ignition. The mind begins weaving connections at lightning speed, tying this moment to every past slight and future fear. Now, the body floods with stress chemistry designed for sprinting from predators. Yet, there is nowhere to run. This hormonal cascade has one visible symptom: the urge to escape psychologically, by rehearsing arguments, blame, or catastrophic futures. The original discomfort may have been no more than aching arches or a 15-second delay, but by the time the narrative engine reaches full spin, the system experiences emergency. To reverse the chain, intercept the second link. The moment tension arises, ask, what raw data is present, and what commentary have I layered on top? Feel the saws against the floor, the air on the skin, the vibration of breath. Name the commentary silently: irritation, impatience, self-pity. Then, leave it unnamed, like a leaflet dropped on the ground. Sensation remains, but the story stalls. Without the story, the ache is simply an ache, not evidence of cosmic mistreatment. Repeat often. Each interruption teaches the nervous system that absence of narrative is safe, and in fact, easier to endure than the adrenaline storm it once considered normal. Logic can debunk a fear, yet the fear returns because logic works in words, while anxiety lives in chemistry. Presence bypasses argument and addresses chemistry directly. Take a single conscious breath. The diaphragm's downward pull nudges the vagus nerve, which tells the heart to slow, which signals the adrenal glands to stand down. Blood reroutes from limbs to the frontal cortex. Clarity spreads. In this biophysical hush, the mind tries to present its worries again, but they appear thin, like headlines about a country you have never visited. The breath did not fix tomorrow's uncertainty. It dissolved the body's insistence on rehearsing it now. Practice entering that hush throughout the day. 2 mindful breaths before opening an email marked urgent. 1 breath when the phone vibrates with an unknown number. Over time, these micro-returns turn presence into a baseline rather than a rescue technique. The brain learns that calm is not the absence of problems, but the atmosphere in which real solutions emerge. Imagine 2 concentric circles. The outer circle is everything you refer to as your life: job, title, family roles, debts, hopes, childhood stories, projected retirement. The inner circle is the undeniable pulse of being that precedes every label. Most people live wholly in the outer ring, defending or resenting its contents. Step once into the inner circle. Feel the heartbeat, sense the coolness inside the nostrils, and the ownership boundary dissolves. Circumstances still require attention, but they stop defining identity. You answer an email because clarity chooses efficient action, not because your worth hinges on someone else's opinion. This shift from outer to inner does not make you passive. It removes the drag of self-concern. Athletes call it being in the zone. Artists, flow. Mystics, suchness. Whatever the name, actions arise without the friction of personal drama. Washing dishes, you feel the water's temperature and the plate's texture, rather than muttering through imaginary complaints. Paying a bill, you note the precise amount without the emotional charge of unfairness. Life situations rotate, yet life, the direct sense of aliveness, remains steady, like a candle flame untouched by wind behind glass. The phrase, "I can't live with myself," unpacks into a drama with 2 invisible actors. One is the narrative phantom, the collection of memories, traits, and predicted outcomes called me. The other is the silent witness, registering the complaint. Anxiety thrives because the witness forgets its own nature and identifies with the phantom, then feels persecuted by the story it produces. Seeing this split is half the cure. The next time self-blame arises, pause and notice who is blaming and who is hearing the blame. The moment both roles are seen as thoughts, the stage lights cut and the quarrel fades into backstage shadows. What remains is simple awareness, unscarred by either role. Repeat each time the inner courtroom convenes. Soon, the prosecution and defense tire of presenting cases to an audience that no longer stays for the performance. No formal meditation cushion nearby? Use whatever engages your senses. While drinking water, track the liquid's path from lips to throat to stomach. While typing, feel the fingertip ridges tapping plastic keys. Presence does not require silence. It needs only honesty. What is here that no story can deny? Each return reconditions the brain to prefer reality over rumination. You will still plan for future meetings, but the planning will occur in a clear window of time, then close. The rest of the day belongs to living, not rehearsing. Positive affirmations can mend a cracked self-image, much as a splint supports a healing bone. Useful, yes, but temporary. Once the bone knits, the splint constricts. Likewise, once self-acceptance is steady, the practice of praising your reflection becomes redundant noise. The dog neither esteems nor condemns itself. It embodies immediacy. Humans can graduate to the same immediacy by recognizing self-talk, positive or negative, as echoes in consciousness, not as identity. When the mirror is set down, energy once spent polishing the self-image becomes available for attending the world directly, helping a neighbor, tasting an orange, fully listening to a friend's grief. Forecasting feels productive because it mimics problem solving. Yet, most forecasts are disguised catastrophizing, dressed in the uniform of preparation. The test: can you take a concrete, immediate step from this thought? If yes, act and stop thinking. If no, label it as speculative, and return to sensation. Over months, this discipline rewires synapses. The brain begins to favor pathways linked to actionable clarity over those feeding endless loops. Anxiety attacks shorten, then skip days, then months. The absence of worry feels uncanny at first. Peace seems suspicious to a nervous system acclimated to alarm. But given time, peace becomes the set point. When worry dissipates, nobody applauds, and that is its beauty. You realize drama had been self-amplified applause all along. Now, a rainstorm is simply water falling, not a metaphor for personal doom. Freedom reveals itself in the ordinariness you once rushed past. You notice light pooling on a wall, bird silhouettes against morning fog, warmth spreading from a coffee mug into your palms. Tasks finish earlier because there is no mental sequel of second-guessing. Sleep deepens because the brain is not busy solving phantom puzzles. Friends ask what changed. You shrug, unable to point to anything tangible. The change is subtraction, not addition. What remains is vivid, but language finds nothing noteworthy to add. Day continues after day, still full of annoyances, yet strangely light. You meet each ripple tip to tip, then watch it dissipate without residue. The skill is not mystical. It is simply refusing to dedicate imagination to events that have not, and may never, occur. Life lives itself through you, free of the commentary track. That, although outwardly uneventful, is the quiet revolution at the heart of ending worry.